Alarms tear through the corridor before I even open my eyes. Red light floods the maintenance bay, and the floor shudders under my boots. Something has hit the station, or something is trying to get in, and I do not have time to figure out which. My name is Ethan Cole, and I fix things for a living. Air recyclers, broken doors, cracked pipes. Nobody trains the maintenance crew for moments like this, but here I am, running down a shaking corridor toward the one place every other person on this station is running away from. The quarantine wing. A voice crackles over the comm, sharp and urgent. Hull breach near Dock 4. All personnel evacuate to the west corridor. Repeat. Evacuate to the west corridor. I am not going to the west corridor. There is a prisoner, or a guest, or whatever the station commander wants to call her, locked inside a sealed pod at the far end of the quarantine wing. Her name is So-Rae. She arrived 2 days ago on a burning ship, half dead, with 4 eyes, and a face that made 2 guards refuse to enter her room. Nobody else is thinking about her right now. Everyone is thinking about themselves. I turn a corner and nearly collide with Grace Bellamy, one of the security officers, her face pale under the flashing red light. "Cole, what are you doing?" she shouts over the alarm. "Everyone is supposed to be heading out." "The quarantine pod," I say. "Its seal is on backup power. If that breach knocks out the grid, she is trapped in a box that is about to lose air." Grace grabs my arm. "That is not our problem right now," she says. "We have an unknown vessel latched onto the hull. It could be hostile. It could be here for her." That thought lands hard and cold in my chest. If someone wants So-Rae, and I leave her locked in a box with no power, I am handing her over on a plate. "I am going anyway," I say, and I pull free before Grace can stop me. The lights flicker as I run. Somewhere behind me, metal groans, the sound of a hull plate bending under pressure it was never built to hold. My ears pop. The air itself feels thinner already, like the station is holding its breath. I reach the quarantine wing and slam my palm against the entry panel. Nothing happens. The screen blinks amber, then dies completely. "Come on," I mutter, and I pry open the manual access panel beside the door, yanking out the emergency crank. My arms burn as I turn it, inch by inch, the door groaning open just wide enough for me to slide through sideways. Inside, red emergency lights paint the room in dim, pulsing color. So-Rae is on her feet, pressed against the far wall of her sealed pod, one hand against the transparent barrier. Her 4 eyes track me the second I enter, sharp and alert, no fear in them at all, only calculation. "You should not be here," she says. Her translated voice is flat, but there is an edge underneath it, like she is holding something back. "Yeah, well, neither should you," I say, crossing the room fast. "Your seal is on backup power. If the main grid goes, this pod locks, and the air inside stops cycling. I need to get you out before that happens." She studies me for one long second, like she is deciding whether to trust a stranger who just ran into a collapsing station instead of away from it. "Do it," she says. I drop to my knees at the base of the pod and pull off the service panel, exposing a mess of wiring that was never meant to be touched by human hands in a hurry. Somewhere above us, another groan rattles the ceiling, louder this time, closer. "Talk to me," I say, working fast. "What is out there? What hit us?" "A retrieval ship," she says. "My people have enemies, Ethan. Some of them would rather see me gone than see me testify about what happened to my ship." "Testify to who?" "To anyone who will listen," she says, and for the first time her voice tightens, just slightly. "I have proof that a trade alliance is smuggling weapons through neutral space. If I die quietly on this station, that proof dies with me." "Great," I mutter. "So this is definitely my problem now." I find the correct wire cluster and splice in the small backup battery from my tool belt, the same one I use for stalled airlocks. The pod hums, and a thin blue light replaces the dying amber one. The seal releases with a hiss, and the front panel slides open. So-Rae steps out, taller than I remembered, moving with a kind of coiled control, like she has spent her whole life ready to run. "Move," she says, and this time, I am the one following her. We race back through the corridor, the station shuddering harder now, sparks spitting from a cracked conduit overhead. A support beam has come loose somewhere ahead, hanging at a crooked angle, blocking half the passage. I do not like where this is going, I say, ducking under it. I do not like it either, so Rai says, sliding through the gap beside me. But we are almost at the transport bay. We round the final corner and nearly run straight into two figures in unfamiliar gray armor, standing in front of the transport bay doors. Not station security. Not anyone I recognize. So Ray stops dead, her whole body going rigid. Those are my people's enemies, she says quietly. They found the quarantine wing empty. Now they are looking for us. One of the armored figures turns, and even through the visor I can feel the moment they spot us. There is no time to think. I grab So-Ray's arm and pull her sideways into a side corridor, away from the transport bay, away from any easy escape. This is the wrong direction, she hisses. I know a shortcut, I say, praying that I actually do. We sprint past a maintenance junction I have crawled through 100 times fixing broken pipes, a narrow service shaft that connects to the lower ring of the station. It is barely wide enough for one person, let alone two people running side by side, but it is the only route I can think of that the armored strangers will not know exists. I yank open the access hatch and drop down first, reaching up to help So-Ray through behind me. The shaft is dark, cramped, filled with the low hum of machinery. Somewhere above us, boots pound against metal flooring, searching. We wait, pressed together in the narrow dark, breathing as quietly as we can manage. My heart is slamming against my ribs so hard I am sure it must be audible. They will search every corridor, So-Ray whispers. This will not hold them for long. Then we do not stay long, I whisper back. We move through the shaft in silence, following the low hum of the ventilation system toward the lower docking ring, where the smaller emergency shuttles are kept. My hands are shaking, not from fear exactly, but from the sheer amount of adrenaline pushing through me. I have spent my whole life fixing things quietly in the background. I have never once run for my life through my own station. We reach the end of the shaft and climb out into a narrow storage bay, empty except for crates and a single small shuttle docked at the far wall. That will do, I say. It is not rated for long-distance travel, so Rai says, studying the shuttle with narrowed eyes. It does not need to be, I say. It just needs to get us far enough that someone official can pick us up. We climb aboard, and I drop into the pilot seat, running through the startup sequence faster than I have ever done it before. So-Ray straps in beside me, her 4 eyes fixed on the small viewport, watching the storage bay doors behind us. The engines whine to life just as the bay doors slide open and one of the armored figures steps through, weapon raised. Go, So-Ray says sharply. I slam the throttle forward, and the shuttle lurches out of the bay and into open space, the station falling away behind us in a blur of metal and dying lights. Something strikes the rear of the shuttle, a dull impact that rattles through the hull, but we do not slow down. Behind us, the retrieval ship breaks away from the station, engines flaring, turning to give chase. They are following, So-Ray says, voice tight. I know, I say, weaving the shuttle hard to the left, then right, cutting a jagged path through open space. This shuttle was built for short hops between docking rings, not for outrunning anything, but it is faster and more agile than the retrieval ship's bulk allows for, and that is the only advantage I have. A distress signal, I say. Send everything you have. Every frequency. Let the whole sector know exactly who is chasing an unarmed shuttle through open space. So-Ray's hands move fast across the small console, broadcasting on every channel she can reach, her voice steady, even as the shuttle shakes around us. I keep us moving, unpredictable, refusing to give them a clean line. Minutes stretch out like hours. My hands ache from gripping the controls. Then, far ahead, a cluster of lights appears on the scanner, a patrol convoy responding to the distress call, moving fast in our direction. The retrieval ship hesitates, then breaks off, turning sharply away and vanishing into the dark before the convoy gets close enough to intercept. They are gone. So, Ray says quietly, disbelief coloring her flat translated voice. I let out a breath I did not realize I had been holding, my hands finally loosening on the controls. For now, I say. We sit in silence as the patrol convoy closes the distance, the adrenaline slowly draining out of my body, leaving behind something shaky and raw. Soso-Rai turns toward me, her 4 eyes studying my face the way she did back in the quarantine pod, except this time, there is no calculation in her expression at all. "You came back for me," she says, "when everyone else was running away." I glance over at her, at the intricate lines across her face, lines that tell the story of everything she has survived to get here. "You are worth coming back for," I say, meaning it completely. She goes quiet, and for a long moment, neither of us says anything at all, the small shuttle drifting steady and safe under the light of the approaching convoy, the danger finally, truly behind us.